Before you paint this, you probably want to paint this. Welcome to the Ozzstar Cars channel. I'm Glenn. In today's fun project, we're going to be doing some spray painting. So we're going to go into practice, and I have an old Fender right down here. And what we're going to do is practice the base coat, clear coat technique, which is basically the color, and then the protector is the clear coat. There are a lot of variables to painting, so I suggest that you start by practicing. That's what I'm doing here today. I have a bumper cover that needs to be refinished. I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to show you what's going on. Let's take a look. So I got this from a body shop. They were just throwing this thing out, so they gave it to me. And you can see it's all scratched, and it's got, actually looks like it was painted before. There's some bad checking or cracking here. And our goal is not to get these dents out, but just to go ahead and sand this down. We're not even going to prime. We're just going to paint and then clear coat. And I'll tell you about that more as we go on with the video. All right, so to start our preparation, I've got a gray Scotch Brite. These come in gray or red. Now this is going to be like very fine, and red is a little bit more coarse. So all I want to do is basically scuff this up. Now, by the way, I suggest you go, if you don't, let me lift this up, go down to Harbor Freight for 22 bucks, get yourself one of these stands. If you don't already have one, they come in very handy. I mean, you could use sawhorses, but anyway, I'm just gonna hand, what should I call it? Hand scuff the surface. And that chain is bouncing around down here for the adjustment. It's pretty annoying. So anyway, there we go. I'm just gonna sand this down and scuff it up. I'm getting the gloss off. So what we want to do is knock down the gloss, okay? And once that gloss is off, we can wipe this down with a glass cleaner or a like a mineral spirits or something like that. You can use grease and wax remover they sell, and basically that'll get us ready for paint. Now, where there's bare metal showing, we would want to prime all that. We're skipping that, so just keep that in mind. Okay, you don't want to just paint over this without proper preparation, or you're going to run into a lot of problems. Now, I do have an orbital sander, and I suggest you use a DA. I just got 220 in here. Make sure you have your dust mask on. And I'm just going to run this over here to save time real quick, because like I said, it's just for practice. If I had some 400, I probably would just use 400, because this is going to put a lot of scratches into our paint. We don't want that new paint and clear to soak into the scratches, and then it's going to leave us with a bad finish. But like I said, this is basically for color and just to clear practice. Alright, well that certainly makes fast work of it, so I just use ammonia-free glass cleaner. I like this stuff here, this spray way. What I'll do is I'll link it down below. Just spray some of that on there. I've got clean, one of these lint-proof kind of rags, they call them, a shop cloth. And I'm just going to wipe that down. You can see all that filth on there. So after you wipe this down, and I'll bring you guys in closer, you'll see your results much better as far as if you're ready for paint or primer. And the way to tell that is what you want to look at, and you want to see if there's any shiny spots. If there's a shiny spot, then you definitely need to take your sandpaper or your Scotch Brite and scuff those areas up. Now that jingling, let me show you this up close. Those chains are driving me crazy. I'm going to tape them up because I know you guys are probably going nuts by now. Here's this. Here's what's jingling here. This is a very nice stand though for the money. You could spend 200 bucks and get a really nice one. Anyway, so here's what's going on up close. That's just drying. See it evaporating? That's our cleaner. But you can see how scuffed and nice and gray this is compared to the shiny stuff right here. Okay, See that cloud in the sky, the reflection disappearing. So if you have your Scotch-Brite, try to give you a close-up. Let's just take this area right here. Hopefully it's not too shaky. But you want to just keep going back and forth. Okay, and you can see how it's starting to scuff up. Okay, so you can take your time with this, or you can hit it with a DA is the best thing. That's a dual action sander, not necessarily an orbital like I have. Anyway, I think you get the point. You can see where we sanded through the paint, and this gray here is the primer. It's the original primer. Like I said, this checking here, somebody's painted this before. They had too much paint on it. All right, here's a better close-up of sanding down. I'm switching to the red. It's a little more aggressive. There we go. It's getting a nice gray haze. All right, so I just got done sanding this down. Not sanding it, but scuffing it. I'm just taking some compressed air. I'm gonna blow off the excess dust. If you don't have this, I mean, you're gonna need it if you're spray painting. So. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, I am not a professional painter. Don't claim to be. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of great resources on YouTube, a lot of great channels out there, and to name a few or a couple would be, let's see, Bad Chad, that's a good one. Paint Specialist, he's really amazing at what he does. And then if you go to DIY Auto School, my friend Pete over there has been doing this for 30, 40 years. They're pros. They can give you the real tips that you need. So I've watched a lot of their stuff and given me the confidence basically to do this. Now I have done a little bit of clear coat, base coat repair, and I'll link that video down below. That was on a Maxima. I repaired some peeling clear, and that job lasted many, many years until the car was unfortunately demised and is in the boneyard now, but it was a successful repair. So anyway, this is all wiped down, and I think what I'll do now is take you over to the bench. We'll start playing with how we get the paint into the cup and then onto the fender. All right, so we're at the bench. Now, with this particular gun I'm using, this is a Spectrum. I've never used it before. It's brand spanking new. You get these at Harbor Freight for about $100, $150. Supposedly it's a real nice gun. I've got a quick adapter or clean out cups they call it, so that you can just take these liners right here, goes in your cup, and then you can throw this out when you're done. So basically you don't have to clean out your cup. Does come with a permanent cup if you want to go through all that. Now we're going to be spraying metallics, and what color this is doesn't really matter, but it's a silver metallic called fluid metal. It's a Hyundai color. It's actually M6T. Anyway, this already has reducer in it. So when you mix your paint, you get a mixing cup. This particular product is 4-to-1. So you go 4 parts and then 1 part of your reducer. And this already has it in it. So we're gonna do that with the clear coat. This is our clear that we're gonna go with. We're gonna mix a little bit of this up. This is the clear coat, and then this basically is the catalyst that hardens it. So it's a 2-part. you take your filter and put that in here. So it's like a cone. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a filter there. And then you pour your paint through there, okay? In these cups that I have here, there's a filter built in. There's a screen here. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's here. Now, if you're spraying metallics, they say you should remove this. I don't know. I think we might, just so the metallics can get through there. This is kind of thin. Let me get a screwdriver, and I'll just rip this out. There we go. Easy enough, okay? So now this filter, the screen, is out of there. I'm not worried about dust in the paint. That's not what this is about. This video is about getting the right pressure, amount of paint, and the spray pattern correctly so that things go smooth. If there's dirt and specks in the paint, I'm not worried about it. We're doing it outside. We're not in the booth. So, no biggie. Now, we don't want it to clog the gun. So, what I think is I will smoke one of these filters just in case, let's say there was some junk in here. And we don't have that. That being this old filter that came in there, that original. We'll go with this. So let me get something to pop this open with. These 5-in-1 tools are super handy. Now, right after I pour this stuff, I will put on my respirator and I'll start spraying that. And I think this is like a half pint or something like that. You don't need much. I'm probably only going to use maybe half of this, 3/4 of it. Shout out to McMenamin Auto Body Paint. They hooked me up with this little sample here. And the thing is, they're in Ellesmere, Delaware. Let me tell you something. No joke, they didn't pay me to say this. I'm not sponsored, none of that. They were extremely helpful for a DIY guy. So I went in there. They gave me a lot of the information that I had seen on YouTube, but some other stuff for tips and tricks to get this done right. And it was nice of them to give me this sample. So let me put this on here, or pour this in here, I should say. I'm gonna get on a pair of gloves so I don't make a mess of my hands. It's a good idea. You don't really want these chemicals on your hands. And it also leaves, you don't put oil or anything on the part that you're trying to paint. So I'll pour this in here. Now did I shake it good enough? I know I shook it. Let me try stirring it a little more, just to be safe. Let's just stir it. It's like a nice dark grayish silver looking color. That should be good. All right. And I think what I'll do is I'll just pour the whole thing in there. It doesn't really matter because I can pour it back in the can if whatever we don't use. And like I mentioned before, this already has reducer in it. So that thins it out. Put the lid on that. Put this up here. Find something to put this in. Get right on this. Put that right there. Once you're done with this, that's it. That filter's done. Now, what we do is we have our liner here, right? Let me move this out of our way. Okay. We take the lid, just press that in. It's that simple. These are kind of a tight fit, I noticed. So, you snap that down in there. Come on. Make sure it's in tight. And the last thing you want is this stuff leaking out on you. Once that's down in there tight, take your collar or whatever you want to call this. That goes right on top. Just screw this on. Make sure this is on square, nice and flat, and not like cockeyed crooked, or you could get yourself into a disaster. Let's see. I don't think it's going on there the way I want it to. There we go. Maybe, maybe not. Nope. See what I mean? It's a little tricky. I'm sure the 3M brand is probably not this difficult. Let me set it down and do it. Why is this not locking in? There it goes. It's locked in now. Okay, now remember, you got a hole on the top. They do come with little plugs that you can put on here in the meantime if you're not using the paint. But you can see our paint's in the bag right there. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, and then we can take our gun. Now I've already set this gun up where I think the pressure should be. This is the amount of air right here. When you're pulling halfway, this just lets air out, and you go full throttle. That'll allow the paint to shoot out. I'm running it. I've got a gauge on here. Like I said, this video is not about all the details on this yet. And then a water filter. The gauge, I have this set at about 22 psi when the gun is running full throttle. And this knob on the side here, you turn this in and out, all the way out, makes the fan, excuse me, the fan real wide like this when it sprays out, or you turn it in and it'll make it almost to a bullet point. Too much product will go on that way. Now, you don't want to spill anything here, so what you do is you take your gun upside down. Let's go back in. You push it right down on this part. There are threads on this thing, but you're not going to use the threads. You're just going to push this down. And then there's two like tangs on the side, like clips. And once you get it down, you turn it and you lock it in. And that's what it looks like right here. Okay, so now technically when we flip this upside down like this, oops. Okay, the paint's in there. And we don't have any leaks, we're good. So we're gonna go back over to the Fender now and let's see how this goes. All right, got my respirator right here. So having a beard with a respirator is not a good idea. You really should be clean shaven because you got to get a good seal. Okay, I'm outdoors. It's not too bad out here, but anyway, just keep that in mind. Let me hook up the air hose and we'll get going. Now, if this starts to run or I get a disaster, I'll just stop right where I'm at. All right, half throttle. Just air. When I pull it full throttle, we're gonna get the paint. So let's see. I'll start where this is nasty. All right, so the compressor shut off and I want to show you guys what's going on. So this is flashing off, it's called. So right now, if you see some shiny parts and then some dull parts, that's where it's drying, it's flashing. And you don't want to do anything until that flashes, till that basically 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 if it's cold out. It depends on what chemicals you're using, but then we can put the second coat on. Now I did notice right in this area where it's wet, there was a bunch of, right where I first started, I don't know if there was something in that gun or whatever, but bunch of crap. So I'll take like 400 or probably 600 grit and just lightly go over this before the second coat. But I was pretty impressed with the amount of paint that came out of there. You can see it's a little thin right here, but second coat will cover that. With the metallics, they're flowing out pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how this panel turns out. Like I said, I don't care about all these big grooves and scratches and the dents and the cracks and all that. That doesn't matter to me. That's not what this video is about. Okay, so let's let this set up and I'll get the second coat on after I lightly sand it. So it's been 15 minutes and I've got my 600 P600 wet dry sandpaper and a foam block just to give it some support. And I'll just run this over those rough spots real lightly. In fact, I might just use my hand since we're not really worried about smoothness. Just real lightly going over it, just getting those little nibs out of there. Like I said, we're not worried about the whole look of this thing. If this was primer, if this was the 2K primer, we would definitely be hitting it with the 600 right now, because we want to give it some bite for the base coat to actually bond to it. So it kind of lets it grab in there, so to speak. The paint will lock into it, into the scratches. But we don't want any deep scratches because we don't want to see it. Alright, I think that'll work fine. It's smooth, I can feel it smooth. Let me wipe it with some glass cleaner. It's amazing how fast this stuff can dry with the reducer in it. Now, a good suggestion would be to get a real tack cloth. So when we go to do the bumper, which is not in this video, we will tack cloth it after we wipe it down with the glass cleaner. Alright, so this is flashed. It's probably been about 20 minutes right now. It's real smooth now in that area. Not the dents, but the dirt that we had in there. So the second coat came out really nice. It covered real well. Now this just goes to show you, if you have any imperfections in your body panel before you paint, it's going to show up. So let me see if I can point right here. Like you can see that, even like that little nick, little chip right there. Hopefully that showed up. Anything is going to show, so it's got to be super smooth. Anyway, over in this area, not sure if the camera's picking it up, might look a little hazed. That's because I took some 1500 and I'm doing an experiment. I lightly sanded in this area pretending I did have some dirt, and then when I go over it with the clear, will it cover? Will it smoothen out nice? Will it shine up? So that's our little experiment right there. Half throttle, just air, right? Just put some air over it. And we leave stuff there. I think we're looking good. All right, I'm gonna put my respirator back on and let's do it. That dry. Once you remove the mixing cup, this is gravy here. Just undo this cap or lock ring, and then all you do is wiggle this out. Remember, this thing had the filter in it before. You can put a plug in here if you don't want it to spill. I dumped the excess back into the can. By the way, I used about a half of this to do those 2 coats just on that one fender. So if you're doing a whole car or door or hood, you're going to need a lot more paint than that. And then you can see how this cup, boom, this just comes out. We'll take this and throw this right into the garbage can. So that's super easy to do. Now Jesse over at McMenamin Auto Body Paint gave me 2 different size cups. So hopefully you can see the difference. This one's in my hand. See how one's much smaller. This is what we're going to use for the fender because we don't need much clear coat. And this product, I think I mentioned it before, is 4-to-1. So we're going to pour the clear up to, let's say, you know, if we go 4 here, then we would go to the next 4 with our hardener. So, or activator, or whatever you want to call it. It's the catalyst. So that's what I'm going to do here. It's very simple. I'm going to pour it up to this 4, and then the next little 4 for the actual activator. I don't have any reducer for it, so we're just going to go. And by the way, this activator here is a fast activator just because it's getting cooler now and I don't have a paint booth obviously. So this comes in different speeds, so to speak. You got slow, fast, medium, all in between. The reason you want fast with colder weather is it would take forever to actually dry. So if it's very hot out, you want to go with a slow activator so that it doesn't set up too fast. You want it to kind of, it's atomizing. The paint is atomizing. Imagine a million little droplets, and then you want it to just flow out and get real smooth. You want that nice even coverage. So, okay, hopefully that explains that. I'll mix this up, I'll put it in there. Next thing you know, we'll be back to the fender. All right, on goes our clear. Pop this respirator off. Anyway, you can see I got it pretty wet. Hopefully it'll show up. That's the shine. You want it wetter than drier. So I kind of laid it on there, 50% overlap, 50 to 75%, which means, you know, if I went across here, then the fan spray went 50% over top of it. So you're really laying it on. And the sun kind of just went in right now, but I can tell you right now, this sucker's shiny. So it's looking good. Looking good. Let's let this set up for about 15 minutes. We want this 10-15 minutes. We want it a little bit tacky, not wet, just a little tacky. You can feel the edge when you do that. Or if you have your car taped up, you can touch the tape. This case, it doesn't matter. We can touch the fender. But anyhow, I can see where I sanded, and I can see those scratches coming right through the clear. I don't think it's showing up on camera. But definitely don't want to do that. So let's, if you did have to sand, you want to put another base coat, another coat of base on, then go ahead and clear. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. This stuff, it's outside, so it's setting up pretty quick with the fast activator. I'm going to lay that second coat of clear on right now. I think I have just enough to finish. Hopefully I do. If not, it is what it is. We get a really good idea of the finish that it's putting out, and it looks really nice. All right, it's shiny out, and so is this fender. You might have saw me over here touching it with my finger. Well, that was a bug that flew in. A fly got caught up in there, go figure. And I had one more little one, and my trick to get that out was I rolled this up like a snot rag, nice and tight, you know, to go up into the nostril, and I just dabbed on it. After about 2-3 minutes, I let it set up, and then boom, it pulled it out, and the clear is flowing really nice. You can't even see where that bug was right there. So the other one where I used my finger, well, that's not as smooth, and I did hit it with the clear, but I'll tell you the truth, I know it was right there, and you really can't see it. It flowed, the clear is flowing so nice. So I'm really impressed with the shine. Looks fantastic. I hope your project turns out as nice as my little test project did. And I suggest you do that on your own. You could even use some cardboard and spray that if you don't have a fender, something just to get some practice. And what surprised me about it was it used more paint and clear than I thought it would. So make sure you have plenty on hand. And you saw at the end there, I was running out of clear. I stopped. I didn't want a dry spot because that'll splatter. That's not good. And I tilted the gun so that the clear went back in, and I went around the other side, and that's where I laid on the rest of it real nice. So let's wrap this one up. All right, just wanted you guys to know real quick, I got lacquer thinner and I did clean out the gun after the base and before the clear. And now that the clear is on, I put some lacquer thinner in one of these cups, sprayed it through there. Then I took out the needle. Like I said, this video is not about that. Cleaned it all up real nice so it's ready to go for the next time. And I'll just continue on with this bad boy. I'm really pleased with the results. All right, so that one I think went pretty well. I'm very satisfied with the results of that gun. That's a Spectrum gun I bought from Harbor Freight, not their Widowmaker or whatever they call it, the top one. It's the second one down. It is a professional series, and just have it hooked to my 21-gallon air compressor, which is fine for a panel here or there. And I hope this video helped you out. If you're gonna attempt it, you're gonna save a lot of money. Well, be prepared for a lot of headaches, possibly. You saw we had a couple little bugs, no big deal. We could have polished or sanded them out with some 1500, 2000 and then just put another coat of clear. So anyway, I am very satisfied with those results. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my other repair videos here. I'm usually, turning a wrench or whatever, fixing a car. Enjoying my new shirt right here that my wife's aunt from Texas sent me. So what do you think of that SUV, huh? I gotta lose a little weight. But anyway, thanks for subscribing if you haven't yet. Comment down below. Smash that like button if you get a chance. That helps my channel grow. And I'll see you on the next one. If I paint that bumper anytime soon, I'll be filming that one. Maybe you'll come along for that too. Thanks for stopping by. Take it easy.